Good morning again, dear student. Today I want to continue with our lesson. Last time we spoke about the menstrual cycle and the fertilization. You should remember that the menstrual cycle has got three cycles. We have got the uterine cycle. This one shows how the endometrium is changing its thickness. The thickness of the endometrium is changing along the month. So it increases the size. When there is no pregnancy, by the day 28 it shades. Then it restarts again to increase the thickness. When there is no fertilization, it shades. That one we speak about the uterine cycle. The second one is the ovarian cycle. That one takes place, as you can see from this diagram, in the ovary. In the ovary, so the young follicle can be developing, the Graafian follicle, they develop, and when we reach to the day 14th, they can release the egg cell. There we say there is the ovulation. And the third cycle is the hormonal cycle. We said that the menstrual cycle is stimulated by the hormone from the hypothalamus. We have called it the gonadotrophin releasing hormone. That one comes to work on the pituitary gland, and when the cycle is starting, it makes the pituitary gland to release first the follicle stimulating hormone. Follicle stimulating hormone will make a Graafian follicle to develop. Then by day 14, the luteinizing hormone LH will be released, and this one will bring about the ovulation. The remaining of this follicle makes what we have called the corpus luteum. So those are the three cycles which make up the menstrual cycle. We said when the egg cell is released, which is the actually oocyte, when it is released, as you can see here, it starts its journey. The even day it is released, it can be pushed by the cilia we find here in the fallopian tube. And if a sperm has come, a normal sperm has come, can fuse with it, and it will form the zygote. The zygote will start moving downward, and after 1 day, it can start dividing. It will divide. It has now 2 cells. It will keep on dividing. When there are 80 cells, that structure, we have called it the morula. Then morula can keep on dividing, and it is pushed downward until it reaches here in the uterus. By that time, it will have a kind of cavity, which we'll call the blastocell, and the structure will be called blastula or blastocyst. So that blastula will reach in the endometrium, and it can attach there strongly. It can anchor on the endometrium. By that time, we said there is the implantation. From the implantation, now the zygote will not stop dividing. It can again keep on dividing. So when it divides, it will have to form some membrane. We have 4 types of membrane which are formed. We have the chorion, which is the outer membrane, and which is attached to the endometrium. We have the second one is the amnion, which we call also amniotic sac. That one contains the liquid we call the amniotic fluid, which helps to protect the baby against any shock. But we have also the yolk sac. This one will absorb the nutrient from the endometrium, and it will put it in the gut of the baby. But we have the placenta. This is the crucial organs which makes the exchange between the mother and the fetus. So the placenta has three main functions. It has got three main functions. So this is the structure of an embryo which is developing, and there we are seeing the placenta, and we can see there the amniotic fluid, and we can see the umbilical cord. This umbilical cord, actually, it is developing from the yolk. So the uterus is there. You can realize by this time the cervix is completely closed down. Now, three main functions of the placenta. What are the three main functions? The first function is that the placenta allows the exchange between the mother and the child or the fetus. That will be the exchange of gases. Oxygen should reach the child. Carbon dioxide should come from the child. Nutrients should reach the child. Waste product should be removed from the child. The second one, it allows the protection. How does it protect? By filtering out all the pathogen. It will not allow the pathogen to pass, except some. The virus can pass some. It will exclude also the hormones from the mother to reach the child. It will exclude also most of the chemical nutrient to pass. However, chemicals like nicotine can pass and they can reach the child. And the third function is the hormone production. It will allow the production of human chorionic gonadotrophin. It can allow the production of the progesterone and the estrogen, which will keep the embryo safe and to grow properly. But it will also produce the hormone known as lactogen. This one allows the production of the milk just when the lady has delivered. So, after speaking about the function of the placenta, we can see at its structure. How does it look like? You see down here, we are seeing the maternal blood vessels is down, and this one is bringing blood. Then the placenta is there. Now nutrient can be taken from this, and the placenta will filter it. Then it will make the blood, the oxygenated blood to move through not the umbilical artery, but through the umbilical vein. So that is very important. Make sure that the umbilical artery is just transporting the deoxygenated blood. That is the opposite to most of the blood vessels we know, because generally arteries, they carry out, they transport the oxygenated blood, and the vein deoxygenated blood. But here, the umbilical artery transport the deoxygenated blood, and the umbilical vein transport the oxygenated blood. So, after speaking about the fertilization, we could speak also about the twins and the multiple birth. Twins, they are individuals born to the same mother at the same time, or at the short interval of time. We have two types of twins. We have the one we call the identical twins. As you can see here, these are identical twins. How are they produced? You see, we have one egg cell and we have one sperm. Now, after being fused, the embryo has splitted, but still they have a common placenta, the same placenta. But in this one we call the fraternal twins, they come from two different egg cells and two different sperms. Then they are there because many egg cells are being produced. By that time, they will have two different placenta. So that is about the twins. But we call now multiple births when we have more than 2 than 3 children which are born at the same time, and they often come because a lady has produced many egg cells at the same time. You know, we have many sperms, they are there, they're waiting for the egg cell. If there are many, they can be fertilized all at the same time. We have also another kind of twins. We call them the Siamese twin. These are a kind of identical twins, but who did not have the complete separation. When they have been developing, then they remained attached to each other by some part of their body. So they share some part. They can share the head, they can share some legs, they can share some hands. So that is one of the things which people do not like. They like twins, but they don't like the Siamese twin. Thank you very much for this part. We are going to continue with another part just in the next lesson. Thank you.